Yo, what is up, doggies? It's your boy Beanie Colin. In today's video, we're finally gonna go back to some storytime videos. I feel like you guys love my storytime videos, as I've had many people ask me to make more, and I do love making them. But I just don't want to go all out making only storytime videos, because I feel like after like 10 or 15 videos, I'm probably just gonna run out of ideas or good stories to tell. And I don't know, if you look at any drug YouTube channel that tells storytime videos, and you look at where they are now, they kind of just run out of ideas and good stories to tell and end up making videos of them just smoking a bunch of weed or eating a bunch of edibles, which just isn't very entertaining. I mean, no hate on any storytime YouTuber who does this, but I want more out of the Beanie Kowloon YouTube channel. You know what I mean, dogs? So yeah, I'm still gonna make storytime videos, and I'm probably gonna make some more videos on psychedelics, but I'm also gonna make videos on other just random ass topics that I find interesting. So what I'm saying is, don't subscribe for the drug content, but subscribe for the bean. But yeah, without any further ado, I'd like to share the story about when I got arrested. Now this story takes place during the summer of either my sophomore or junior year. And I remember during this time of my life, this is really when I first started becoming one of those people that just smokes weed all day, every day. During this time, to maintain my habits of being high all day, I would also sell weed in carts, but like I wouldn't even sell it to make a profit. Like I would literally always smoke all my profits. Like I remember I would always buy a half ounce of weed, literally smoke 4 grams, and then just sell 10 grams, and then just buy another half ounce with the $100 I made. Or I'd buy like 5 or 10 carts and then just take some fiend smacks off of the carts I would sell and just repackage them. Basically, I would never even make a profit. I would just make the exact amount of money that I spent and then just buy more weed. But yeah, I was just being a fucking degenerate, just smoking weed all day, just selling barely enough to make the money. And you know, I was still living my life. I was having a great time. At this point in my life, I thought there was nothing wrong with being high all the time, every day. It was just fun, you know? But yeah, during this time, my parents were not a fan of my weed smoking activities, and they knew that most of, not all, my close friends all smoked weed, and because of this, they wouldn't really let me hang out with some of my closer friends. And one of my big dogs, who I'm going to refer to as Rob, who's also been in a bunch of my other stories, I always call him Rob. Well, Rob was the homie, and my parents, they really did not like Rob, and they said that I could no longer hang out with Rob. And you know, me at this time being a degenerate being, I was having absolutely none of this. I'm definitely going to hang out with my dog Rob. I don't care what my parents say. You know what I mean, dogs? So what I did for basically this entire summer is during the daytime, I would just chill at home, smack some cards, watch TV, you know, do whatever. But then when nighttime came and my parents went to sleep, nearly every single night I would sneak out and drive over to Rob's house, or we would go over to some other kid's house, and we would just smoke a bunch of weed and bull out together. And also on top of that, Rob was also kind of my plug. We would end up selling carts and weed together, and he would find me people to sell to, and he would get me a lot of product for a good price. Rob was just kind of that guy. I remember every time me and Rob would re-up on carts, we'd put our money together so we could, you know, buy even more carts. And when we'd re-up, we would usually buy around like 30 carts. And me and Rob had a tradition where every time we would re-up on carts and we would buy like 30 carts or something, we would unpackage each individual cart, take 1 or 2 smacks off of every single cart, and then repackage them all back up. And looking back on this, 2 things come to mind. First off, we were terrible plugs, and second off, this shit would get you so fucking high. I don't know, something about smacking 30 different like strains or some shit, like this shit would get me zoinked up. But yeah, I'd say I'd sneak out nearly every single day to go hang out with Rob and do some drug dealer shady activities for nearly like every day for like 4 or 5 weeks. And our drug trapping operation was really just only getting bigger and bigger. Like I remember when we first started, we were buying like 5 or 10 carts, and now we were up to like 30 to almost like 50. Like we were going kind of crazy. But yeah, sadly, this story isn't about how I became the drug kingpin of my town. It's about how I got arrested. So this didn't end up working out for too long. But yeah, we were really just cooling and booling with no hiccups, except for I remember Rob did also get arrested before me, I think like more than once, honestly. So sometimes he would lose a couple carts, but hey, it's all in the game. We were cooling and we were also booling. But this would all change very quickly, and now I'm going to get into that fateful day of when the cops decided to arrest me, which was pretty uncalled for. So the day started like any of my other days. I was just chilling at home all day, waiting for my parents to go to sleep so I could go out, smoke weed, and chill out with Rob. And I remember this night I was feeling particularly impatient and just really wanted to go out and smoke. And I remember even before I went out and smoked, I decided to smoke in my room while my parents were still awake, just because I needed to smoke. But yeah, I ended up getting away with smoking in my room with no issues, and my parents ended up both going to sleep at around like midnight. So once midnight hit, I already had made plans with Rob, and we were both going to meet up at this one plug's house who we would always just chill at and smoke a bunch of weed. And I remember this particular night, I was also going to pick up another kid who we'll just call Nick. So I sneak out, and I was about to go pick up Nick and then go link up with Rob, and you just chill out and have a good day. And before I left, I made sure to bring all the carts I had with me because, you know, sometimes we would end up selling carts during this time, so you gotta have your product on telling you. But, you know, at this time, I only had 5 carts, so, you know, nothing too crazy. But I end up sneaking out, you know, driving off with my 5 carts in my pocket. And also, I forgot to mention, I didn't even have a wallet at this time, because I had lost my wallet, like, months prior, and I just never ended up getting another one. And I never got, like, a replacement license or anything. So, you know, I was just driving around with no license. You know, I think I was driving around for only about, like, 3 to 5 minutes before I made a tragic mistake and ended up dropping my vape underneath my car seat. And well, if you guys aren't deathly addicted to nicotine like I am, you might not understand this, but I literally need to be hitting my nicotine while I'm driving, or like I won't be able to drive. I won't be able to function. So, you know, I just continue driving, but reaching down, trying to find this vape underneath my seat, but there's just absolutely no luck. And this goes on for about like 2 minutes until I realize I need to pull over somewhere and really find this vape, because this is just unacceptable. So I see an empty church parking lot, and you know, in my head, this is the perfect spot to go locate my vape. So I pull in, I step outside my car, and I'm just on the search for my nicotine. But I probably only searched for my nicotine for like less than a minute, because out the cut, I end up seeing some car lights pulling up this exact same parking lot that I was in, and they're pulling up real slow, like it just looked really menacing. Like I remember at the time, I literally thought it was just some random dude trying to murder me. So like I instantly just got back in my car, and my heart was racing. And well, as soon as I get in my car, I realize this situation's way worse than some crazed murderer following me, because as soon as I sit down, I end up seeing the cop lights turn on, and my heart was just like, God damn it. As soon as I saw those cop lights, I just knew I was screwed. Like I had 5 carts on me and no license. Like it was not gonna go well for me. And to make matters even worse, first thing I did when I saw these cop lights was to step out of the car and begin walking towards the police car, because, you know, I wanted to explain myself to the man, but this is a big no-no thing to do in front of a police officer, as they don't really know if you're a threat or what the deal is, so you probably shouldn't start walking towards a police officer. And well, this guy was not a fan of it. I shit you not, he like damn near drew his gun and was screaming like, get back in the car! And well, this whole situation of having the cops following me into the parking lot already had me kind of on edge, and having this police officer scream at me to get back in the car, I was feeling a little bit of anxiety at this time. But regardless of how I was feeling, I listened and I went back to the car, and you know, I'm even putting my hands on the steering wheel. I'm trying to be a good egg. So the officer ends up coming to my car, you know, asking for my license and registration, all that shit. And you know, I tell him I do not have it, so we're already starting off on a bad foot. But you know, I just give him like my name and address, and he like looks me up in the system and he finds me or some shit. But then when he comes back to my car, he starts like looking around in the back of my car, and I shit you not, he like opens up my door and just grabs a scale out of my car, and it's a scale that I have never seen before. And at the time, I seriously thought that he like planted the scale on me, and this scale was just covered in weed residue. Like it was just a bad look. I had literally never seen the scale before until the cop pulled it out of my car. So you know, I was quite sus when I first saw it, and like the whole situation went down. I thought the dude fucking planted it on me, but in hindsight, I did have a lot of plugs in my car, and a lot of them would pull out scales and weigh shit out, and one of them probably just left their scale in my car. But regardless of how the scale got in my car, the cop just was not happy about it, and you know, he asked me to get out of the car after this. And this cop just starts aggressively patting me down, you know, just a spooky situation to be in. And after like 2 seconds of patting me down, he finds the 5 carts in my pocket. And these carts were still in like the exotic, colorful ass packaging that carts come in, so like there was no hiding what these were to the officer. He knew what I was up to. At this point, you know, the cop starts asking me questions like if I smoked any weed today, if I was high when I was driving, and you know, obviously I just say no to all those. So after he's done questioning me, this goofball puts me in some handcuffs and then puts me in the back of his police vehicle, which I still think was pretty uncalled for. And bro just sat there in the parking lot like filling stuff out on his police computer while I'm sitting in the back of the car for like 10 minutes, and I remember this felt like an eternity. Like everything really set in once I got the handcuffs on and I was put in the back of the car. And you know, at this point, I'm just thinking about how stupid I am for pulling into this parking lot, how I could have just avoided all this. But I do remember thinking one thing that kind of cheered me up, and that was, I remember thinking to myself, you know what? One day, I'm gonna make a YouTube video about this. Shit, how I got arrested, that's a video that's sure to get at least some views. Like, this YouTube video is years in the making. I've had this shit in my phone notes for like 5+ years. Like, I don't know, it just feels kind of wild and wacky to finally be making this video, because I just remember sitting in that back of the police car being so upset about the whole situation, and the only thing that could cheer me up a little bit was just thinking, hey, at least this will make a fire-ass YouTube video. But yeah, back to the story. The cop ended up like taking me to the police station and threw me in some kind of cell. And I remember I had to wait in the cell for like over an hour while they were calling my parents, and my parents were going to like go pick me up. And I just remember sitting in this cell just doing some serious life reflection. It was at this point, you know, I was just thinking that, you know, I gotta really just stop doing whatever I want to make me happy. You know, I gotta make better decisions. I can't just be high all the time. You know, I can't always be slacking. Sometimes you gotta put your nose to the grindstone, fucking focus up in school, focus on your health, focus on the fucking family, just, focus on the important stuff, not just focus on the stuff that makes you happy. And even after coming to these revelations, I never really did completely just stick to the grindstone and drop all these negative vices in my life, but at this point I was past the denial. I could see that sneaking out and doing drugs with my friends, while it might make me happy, it's not a great way to stay happy. Like, negative shit happens when you're doing shady stuff, and shit just gets boring. I don't know, basically it just helped me realize I was on a bad path, but the thing was, I had no direction to figure out what path I should be going on. And shit, dog, that's a question I'm still struggling with till this day, but I mean, shit, I like making YouTube videos. But yeah, anyways, let's get back and finish this story. So I'm still just sitting in this waiting room, just thinking about all my wrongs, and I remember while I'm sitting in here, I'm reading all these carvings that people did into the room. Like, a bunch of people just carved messages into the seat, into the walls, just everywhere. Everything was filled with carvings. And I just remember staring at one that said some shit like, "This is your life," or like, "You are here now and there's nothing you can do," or like, "Great job, you made it here." I don't know, it was just something like pointing out that, like, yeah, dude, you kind of fucked up. And I remember just looking at that one marking is what really helped me think about just, how I am on a pretty fucked path, and how we gotta start changing things, how we gotta start fucking grinding, doggies. And well, after like an hour or so of reflecting, my mom ends up making it to the police station and gets me out. We talk to the police officer. Dude says I'm gonna have multiple court dates coming up, just a whole bunch of bullshit. My mom drives me home, and obviously there was some drama between me and my mom, but it was all healthy, and we actually ended up having like a really emotional, deep talk, but I'm gonna keep that between me and my mommy, that's not for the YouTube. But yeah, this is definitely a bit of a turning point in my life, and I tell you guys this story so you guys could maybe avoid making the same stupid decisions as I did. I mean, I don't expect anyone who watches this video to just quit all the negative vices they're doing, but I mean, at least take a step back and look at how you're living your life and just really think, is this how I want to be living my life? Because a lot of the times you really don't realize the pain you're putting on yourself until it's a little bit too late. Or maybe you could take a second message out of this video, and that is, fuck the police. Like, I swear that dude actually planted a scale in my car. I mean, like, probably not, but my court case also did end up getting dropped for some, like, unrelated reasons, because the dude who was supposed to take it got sick, and there's a whole bunch of bullshit, but they just completely forgot about my case. But sometimes I think maybe they forgot about it because that police officer ended up playing me, and they knew that they had no case because that fucking scale was planted, and without the scale he had no right to search me. All of it was fucked up. All I'm saying is I was most likely framed, and this motherfucker took all 5 of my cards. I remember going home the next day after being very depressed about, getting caught, going to jail, having my parents know all this shit about me. And you know what? I had absolutely no weed to smoke to help me forget my problems. And I don't think I even had nicotine either. It was a rough couple months after this. But yeah, basically what I'm trying to say, doggies, is life is wild and wacky, and when you feel like you've accomplished basically nothing with your life, that's when you should start making YouTube videos. Yeah, I don't really know what I'm saying, but I do hope that you guys enjoyed, and I also hope that you guys hit that like button and maybe that subscribe button. Shit, maybe you could even drop a comment. I don't know. Go crazy with it, dogs. But yeah, as always, peace out, doggies.